Shirupam sahagrajatam sagana ragunatam vitam tam sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitamscha Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shirupa Patanagam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchanavaranam Balarka Chelan Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Vandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shidaram Vanshakopatarubyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pranayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. This is Adi-lila chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. So this chapter is dealing with the Pancha-tattva. We heard about the glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, of Sri Advaita Acharya, and now we'll be hearing about the Pancha-tattva. See that? Agati egatim natva hinartadika sadakam Sri Chaitanyam likyatesha prema bhakti vidanyata. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one bereft of all possessions in this material world, and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. Thus let me write about his magnanimous contribution of devotional service and love of God. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Tahara Chanarnashrita Se Boradanya. Let me offer glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who has taken shelter of his lotus feet is the most glorified person. Purve Gauravadi Chai Tatve Koila Namaskar Guru Tattva Kohijachi Ebe Panchera Vichar. In the beginning I have discussed the truth about the spiritual masters. Now I shall try to explain the Pancha-tattva. Pancha-tattva avatirna Chaitanyara Sange Pancha-tattva loya koran Sankirtana range. These 5 tattvas incarnate with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and thus he executes his Sankirtan movement with great pleasure. Pancha-tattva ek bastu nahi kachubed rasa shwadite tabu bibida bibed. Spiritually, there is no difference between these 5 tattvas, for on the transcendental platform everything is absolute. Yet there are also varieties in the spiritual world, and in order to taste these spiritual varieties, one should distinguish between them. Pancha-tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namhami Bhakta Shaktikam. Let me offer my obeisances unto Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, expansion of a devotee, incarnation of a devotee, pure devotee, and devotional service. Pancha-tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So let me offer my obeisances. This is the prayer to Pancha-tattva. Let me offer my obeisances unto Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, expansion of a devotee, incarnation of a devotee, pure devotee, and devotional energy. Okay. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Ekaleshwar Advitiya Nandat Maja Rasika Shekar. So in the form of a devotee is Bhakta Rupa. And then in this expansion of a devotee, Swarupakam. Then as an incarnation, Bhakta Avatar, Bhakta Akyam, known as a devotee, and Bhakta Shaktikam, the energy of the devotee. So really the first one when it's saying Bhakta Rupa, says as a devotee, but what some distinction is being made between the Rupa and the Svarupa. So so they're both very much related. Maybe we'll hear more definition of these terms. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Ekale Ishwar Advitiya Nandatmaja Rasika Shikar. Krishna, the reservoir of all pleasure, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, the Supreme Controller. No one is greater than or equal to Krishna, yet He appears as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Rasadi Bilase Braja Lalana Nagar Arajat Sabdeka Taraparikar. Sri Krishna is the supreme enjoyer in the rasa dance. He is the leader of the damsels of Raja, and all others are simply his associates. The word Rasadi Bilasi, the enjoyer of the rasa dance, is very important. The rasa dance can be enjoyed only by Sri Krishna because he is the supreme leader and chief of the damsels of Vrindavan. All others are his devotees and associates. Although no one can compare with Sri Krishna, there are many unscrupulous rascals who imitate the rasa dance of Sri Krishna. They are Mayavadis, Sahajias, and people who should be wary of them. The rasa dance can be performed only by Sri Krishna and no one else. Say Krishna Avatirna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, say Parikaragana, Sangi Sabdanya. The self-same Lord Krishna advented himself as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all his eternal associates who were also equally glorious. Ekale Ishwara Tattva Chaitanya Ishwar Bhakta Bhavamoy Tara Shuddha Kolevar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the supreme controller, the one personality of God in himself, has ecstatically become a devotee, yet his body is transcendental and not materially tinged. There are different tattvas or truths, including Isha Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. Isha Tattva refers to the Lord himself, who is the supreme living force. In the Katha Upanishad it is said, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. The Supreme Lord is the supreme, eternal, and the supreme living force. The living entities are all eternal and are also living forces, but they are very minute in quantity, whereas the Supreme Lord is the supreme living force and the supreme eternal. The supreme eternal never accepts a body of temporary material nature, whereas the living entities, who are part of the parcel, who are part and parcel of the supreme eternal, are prone to do so. Thus, according to the Vedic mantras, the Supreme Lord is the supreme master of innumerable living entities. So that verse is actually goes Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. That is, there is one supreme eternal and one supreme living force, as it's defined here, and he's maintaining everyone. Eko Bahunam, that one, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. He's maintaining all the other living entities, which are, as mentioned here, his own energies. The Mayavadi philosophers, however, try to equate the minute living entities with the supreme living entity. Because they recognize no distinctions between them, their philosophy is called Advaitavad, or monism. Factually, however, there is a distinction. This verse is especially meant to impart to the Mayavadi philosopher the understanding that the supreme personality of Godhead is the supreme controller. The supreme controller is Krishna himself, but as a divine pastime, he has accepted the form of a devotee, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, when the Lord comes to this planet exactly like a human being, some Rascals consider him to be one of the ordinary humans. One who thinks in that mistaken way is described as mudha, or foolish. Therefore, one should not foolishly consider Mahaprabhu to be an ordinary human being. He has accepted the ecstasy of a devotee, but he is the Lord himself. Since the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there have been many incarnations of Krishna who cannot understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself and not an ordinary human being. Less intelligent men create their own gods by advertising a human being as God. This is their mistake. Therefore, hear the words Tara Shuddha Kolevar, warn that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body is not material but purely spiritual. One should not, therefore, accept Mahaprabhu as an ordinary devotee, although he has assumed the form of a devotee. Because, as we've mentioned, he has the Bhavakanti, the mood and also the divine luster and beauty of Srimati Radharani, her effulgence. One should not therefore accept Mahaprabhu as an ordinary devotee, although he has assumed the form of a devotee, but that's supreme devotee. Yet one must certainly know that although Mahaprabhu is the Lord, because he accepted the ecstasy of a devotee, one should not misunderstand his pastimes and place him in exactly the same position as Krishna. It is for this reason only that when Mahaprabhu was addressed as Krishna or Vishnu, he blocked his ears, not wanting to hear himself addressed as the Lord. There is a class of devotees called Gauranga Nagari, who stage plays of Krishna's pastimes using a vigraha or form of Mahaprabhu. This is a mistake that is called rasabhas. That is technically called rasabhas. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to enjoy as a devotee, one should not disturb him by addressing him as the Supreme Lord himself. So the idea is internally Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he's covered with the mood and the beauty of the supreme devotee, who is Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Srila Guru Maharaj, he explained that when we talk about the verse, Yash Sakshat, can you ask who's speaking in the kitchen not to speak? Oh, Ranajit. Oh, little Ranajit?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Huh. Well, that's different. So, where was I? I was explaining about which Guru Maharaj told me that in reference to the verse Sakshad Hari Trinasamasta Shastri Ruktasya Sakshad Hari Trinasamasta Shastri Ruktasya Tatam Jyateva Sadbi Kintu Pravorya Priyeva Tasya Bande Garoshi Charanaravinam. He didn't mention that verse specifically, but what he explained is, he says, we are seeing the spiritual master as Sakshad Hari, the divine presence of the Lord. And then it is mentioned that the spirit, we can say he is Sakshad Hari all the way to the Vatsalya Ras, the first four rasas. The supreme leader, we say Nityananda Prabhu, we can say Balaram. We're seeing the spiritual masters directly as Supreme Lord. But then when we consider Madhura Ras, we'll see the spiritual master of Madhura Ras is actually Srimati Radharani. That's what Guru Maharaj commented to me, that he said, he said, because I had collected for Janmashtami, and then he told me to go back, because he says now Radhastami is coming up, and Srimati Radharani is the leader of our Sampradaya. So when we can consider up to Madhura Ras, then we'll see that the Guru is Srimati Radharani. Kintu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya. Mande Goroshi Charanaravinda. I mean, this is in the highest vision of the Supreme, we'll say, our acharyas, who we really see as being eternal associates of the Lord. And Mahaprabhu, when he comes, he's actually not showing the activities of Krishna. But he's showing the activities of the acharya. You could say, he doesn't want to be addressed as the Supreme Lord, but he's showing the activities of the acharya. He's spreading Krishna consciousness by his preaching, by his chanting the holy names. He's giving the holy name to everyone. He's giving, So, in other words, he's, as Guru Maharaj mentioned, showing the exchanges of rasa all the way to Madhura Ras. So the Gauranga Nagaris, they equate Mahaprabhu and Krishna, but that is totally wrong. He is internally Krishna, but he's covered with, as I said, with the mood and the beauty of color of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he is taking that supreme, her supreme person, and he's showing it as the leader of the devotees, as one who's giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. So that's mentioned in the by Srila Sridhar Maharaj in the Prapana Jivanamrita, where the activities of Mahaprabhu are the perfect activities of the acharya, and he's not to be seen as to be equated with the activities of Krishna. Therefore, in the Lila Mahaprabhu later, he says, he asked an astrologer who I am, and the astrologer talks about how this the Brahmajyoti is coming from him and everything like that. But then he gives a very key phrase, and he says, I think you're wrong. I believe that in my past life, I was a cowherd boy. And because of taking care of the cows and doing very nicely, in my next birth, I got birth as a Brahmin. So Mahaprabhu did take birth, of course, in a Brahmin family, and he became a sannyasi. So his activities actually are those of the devotee, not of the Supreme Lord. So all these things are very, they're not easily understood. But the Gauranga, as mentioned here in this verse, the Gauranga Nagaris, they confuse everything by trying to present Mahaprabhu as an enjoyer, as Krishna was enjoying. But, Krishna Madhuryara Ek Adbhuta Swabhav Apana Shwadite Krishna Kore Bhakta Bhav. The mellow of conjugal love of Krishna is so wonderful that Krishna himself accepts the form of a devotee to relish and taste it fully. Ite Bhakta Bhava Dore Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Swarupatara Nityananda Bhai. For this reason, Mahaprabhu, the supreme teacher, accepts the form of a devotee and accepts Lord Nityananda as his elder brother. Bhakta Avatar Acharya. So then we have Bhakta Rupa and Bhakta Swarupa. And then Bhakta Avatar Acharya Gosai 18 Tattva Sabe Prabhu Korigai. Sri Advaita Acharya is Mahaprabhu's incarnation as a devotee. Therefore, these three tattvas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Gosai are the predominators or masters. Gosai means Goswami. A person who has full control over the senses and mind is called a Goswami or Gosai. One who does not have such control is called a Godasa, or a servant of the senses, and cannot become a spiritual master. A spiritual master who actually has control over the mind and senses is called Goswami. Although this Goswami title has become a hereditary designation for unscrupulous men, actually the title Gosai or Goswami began from Sri Rupa Goswami, who presented himself as an ordinary Grihasta and minister in government service, but became a Goswami when he was actually elevated by the instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, Goswami is not a hereditary title, but refers to one's qualifications. When one is highly elevated in spiritual advancement, regardless of wherefrom he comes, he may be called Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Advaita Prabhu are therefore Goswamis because they belong to the Vishnu Tattva category. As such, all of them are Prabhus, predominators, or masters, and they are sometimes called Chaitanya Gosai, Nityananda Gosai, and Advaita Gosai. Unfortunately, their so-called descendants who do not have the qualifications of Goswamis have accepted this title as a hereditary designation or a professional degree. This is not in accordance with the Shastra conjunctions. So they are also within categories of Upasampradaya, not really being our Sampradaya, and that is like Nityananda Bhamsa and so many, and also Jati Gosais. And particularly in Vrindavan, you'll find these terms are very prominent. More so the Jati Gosais, all the leaders of the temple, they call themselves Gosai, although they are, predominantly married men, etc. But they're, they take that as a hereditary title, and that's what's being mentioned here. And then there are the Nityananda Vamsa and the different Vamsa who claim they are descendants of Mahaprabhu. But that's, but they don't have any qualifications other than their so-called hereditary line. But they themselves don't show anything of Mahaprabhu's devotion. Ek Mahaprabhu ara Prabhu dui jan, dui Prabhu sebe Mahaprabhu charan. One of them is Mahaprabhu and the other two are Prabhus. These two Prabhus serve the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Advaita Prabhu all belong to the same Vishnu category, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is nevertheless accepted as the supreme, and the other two Prabhus engage in his loving service to teach ordinary living entities that every one of us is subordinate to Mahaprabhu. In another place in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekale Ishwara Krishna Ara Sabritya. The only Supreme Master is Krishna, and all others, both Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva, engage in the service of the Lord. Both Vishnu Tattva as Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita and the Jiva Tattva, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda, engage in the service of the Lord, but one must distinguish between the Vishnu Tattva servitors and the Jiva Tattva servitors. The Vishnu Tattva servitor, the spiritual master, is actually the servitor God. As explained in previous verses, in the absolute world there are no such differences, yet one must observe these differences in order to distinguish the Supreme from his subordinates. Now, this, if we, as I've quoted before from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Sikshastika, and that's where some of the terms are also used, where I said, Sakshad Hari Tunasamasta Shastri. The Vishwanath Chakravarti's vision is very elevated, and it gives a very deep, we can say, very intrinsic understanding of Mahaprabhu and his associates as servitors of the Lord and acting in the role of spiritual masters. Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaitacharya. They're all are Vishnu Tattvas, but all of them are showing themselves as servitors, as devotees. But Vishwanath Chakravarti has defined the very deep activities and consciousness of the most supremely realized persons who are taking that role as a spiritual master. That is, that we know that there are different different levels of devotion. One is the Kanishta Adhikari, one is the Madhyama Adhikari, and the Uttama Adhikari. The Madhyama Adhikari, he is the spiritual master when he is maybe an Uttama Adhikari, but when he comes to this world for preaching, he takes the activities of a Madhyama Adhikari. In other words, he goes from that, because the Uttama Adhikari is, we can say he sees every living entity engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he doesn't have to make the distinctions of the Madhyama Adhikari, which is the Madhyama Adhikari worships the Lord, preaches to the innocent, avoids the association of those who are non-believers, and then preaches and worships the Lord, associates with the devotees, and avoids the association of non-believers. So he's acting in that way, but he will descend to the Madhyama Adhikari position to be able to engage in those activities. Normally, the Uttama Adhikari is not distinguishing between those who are non-believers and those who are devotees. So, anyway, Vishwanath Chakravarti, though, gives it when in his Gurvashtakam, he is giving the spiritual master as the supreme acharya. In other words, what we see of our most exalted Guru Tattva. 18 Tattva Sarva Raja Korimani Chaturta Jay Bhakta-tattva Aradhaka Jani. The three predominators, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu, are worshipable by all living entities. And the fourth principle, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, is to be understood as their worshipper. In his In his Anubhashya, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, describing the truth about the Pancha-tattva, explains that we should understand that Mahaprabhu is the supreme predominator and that Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu are his subordinates, but are also predominators. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord, and Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu are manifestations of the Supreme Lord. All of them are Vishnu Tattva, the Supreme, and are therefore worshipable by the living entities. Although the other two tattvas within the category of Pancha-tattva, namely Shakti Tattva and Jiva Tattva, represented by Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas respectively, are worshippers of the Supreme Lord. They are in the same category because they eternally engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Srivasari Jata Koti Koti Bhaktagan Shuddha Bhakta Tattva Madhye Tasabarganan. There are innumerable pure devotees of the Lord, headed by Srivas Thakur, who are known as unalloyed devotees. Gadadhar Panditari Prabhu Shakti Avatar Antaranga Bhakta Kori Ganan Jahar. The devotees headed by Gadadhar Pandit are to be considered incarnations of the internal potency of the Lord. They are confidential devotees engaged in the service of the Lord. So we can also understand that by understanding the relationship between Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit. Now, we could say that Gadadhar Pandit is, we can say that he's the Shakti, the pure Shakti, like we would say Shuddha Shakti rather, and that is Srimati Radharani. So we can say that Gadadhar Pandit is an incarnation of Srimati Radharani. But we see a comparison, that is, Mahaprabhu has appeared on the Purnima night, and Gadadhar Pandit has appeared on the Amavasya. So the Purnima has the full moon has that luster, beauty, and the Amavasya is we call new moon. You cannot see the moon. So Mahaprabhu has taken, as I said, the Bhavakanti and Srimati Radharani, and we can say like stolen that. The relationship between him and Gadadhar Pandit, who is incarnation of Radharani, but Radharani, the Bhavakanti have gone to Mahaprabhu, and therefore Gadadhar Pandit is like a person whose possessions have been stolen. So he's always running after Mahaprabhu, and therefore we see as a supreme, combination is Gaur Gadadhar. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj has explained that the Gadadhar Pandit is standing there as Srimati Radharani dispossessed of his Bhavakanti, and therefore he needs the presence of Mahaprabhu to feel complete. Now these are, of course, this is, again, we're talking about the, the most intrinsic considerations of ontology. So we can understand like that. But that Shakti Tattva and presence of Srimati Radharani. Jasab loya prabhur nitya bihar, jasab loya prabhur kirtana prajar, jasab loya korana prema ashwadan, jasab loya dana kore premadan. The internal devotees or potencies are all eternal associates in the pastimes of the Lord. Only with them does the Lord advent to propound the Sankirtan movement. Only with them does the Lord taste the mellow of conjugal love, and only with them does he distribute this love of God to people in general. Say Pancha-tattva mili prativi asya purva prema bandarer mudra udgariya panche mili lute prema koreashwadan jata jata piye trishna boreyanukan. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly comes with Krishna, when he was present, it was sealed. But when Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Pancha-tattva, they broke the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste divine love of Krishna. The more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Mahavadanya Avatar because although he is Krishna himself, he is even more favorably disposed to the fallen souls than Lord Sri Krishna. When Lord Sri Krishna himself was personally present, he demanded that everyone surrender unto Krishna. When Lord Sri Krishna himself was present, he demanded that everyone surrender unto him and promised that he would give them, he would give one and all protection. But when Mahaprabhu came to this earth with his associates, he simply distributed divine love of God without discrimination. Sri Rupa Goswami therefore could understand that Mahaprabhu was none other than Sri Krishna, for no one but the Lord can distribute confidential love of the Supreme Person. Puna puna piya hoy Puna puna piyaya hoy mahamata nache kande hasegai jache maramata. Sri Pancha-tattva themselves danced again and again and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen, and in this way they distributed love of Godhead. People generally cannot understand the actual meaning of chanting and dancing. Describing the Goswamis, Sri Srinivasacharya stated, Krishnot kirtana gana nartana paro. Not only did Mahaprabhu and his associates demonstrate this chanting and dancing, but the 6 Goswamis also followed in the next generation. The present Krishna consciousness movement follows the same principle, and therefore, simply by chanting and dancing, we have received good responses all over the world. It is to be understood, however, this chanting and dancing do not belong to this material world. They're actually divine activities. For the more one engages in chanting and dancing, the more one can taste the nectar of love of Godhead. Okay. Pancha-tattva vichar nahi nahi stanastan, jejaha payataha kore premadan. In distributing love of God, Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Whenever they got the opportunity, the members of the Pancha-tattva distributed love of Godhead. Lutiya kaya diya bandara ujjare ascharya bandara premat Sataguna Bare. Although the members of the Pancha-tattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity, for this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. Ucha-lila prema-banya chodika bedai stri burita balak chuva sabare dubai. The flood of love of God had swelled in all directions, and thus young men, old men, women, and children were all immersed in that inundation. Sajjana durjana pangu jara andagan prema vanjaya dubaila jagatarajan. The Krishna conscious movement will inundate the entire world and drown everyone, whether one be a gentleman, a rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. Jagat dubila jiver hoila bijanash tahad deki pancha janer parama ulas. When the 5 members of the Pancha-tattva saw the entire world drowned in love of Godhead and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entities completely destroyed, they all became exceedingly happy. Jada jata prema vrishti kore panchajane tata tata bharijao vyapi tribhuvane. The more the 5 members of the Pancha-tattva caused the rains of love of Godhead to fall, the more the inundation increases and spreads all over the world. Mayavadi karma nishta kutarkikadgan nindaka pashandijata paduya adam say sub mahadaka dana palaila say banyata sabare chunite narila. The impersonalists, fruitive workers, false logicians, blasphemers, non-devotees, and lowest among the student community are very expert in avoiding the Krishna consciousness movement, and therefore the inundations of Krishna consciousness cannot touch them. Oh, so I was trying to before remember I didn't state one of the activities of the Madhyamadikaris. They worship the Lord, they befriend the devotees, they preach to the innocent, and they avoid the association of those persons who are non-believers or inimical. Now here in this verse, it is stated that Mahaprabhu, he is spreading. Now, of course, we understand Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord himself, and he's along with the Pancha-tattva, everyone is drowning in the ocean of love of Godhead. But some persons were being unaffected previously, when Mahaprabhu especially is starting his Sankirtan movement. He is finding that some persons not being reached, the impersonalist, fruitive workers, that's many karmis, false logicians, jnanis, blasphemers, of course, asuras and non-devotees, and also many persons in the student community were opposing Mahaprabhu because they were thinking Mahaprabhu as a person from their village, and they could not give proper respect to him. So Mahaprabhu is concerned that they are not actually being affected by this love of Godhead. Taha deki Mahaprabhu Korana Chintan Jagat Dubaite Ami Korilun Jatan Keho Keho Adi-lila Pratigya Hoila Banga Tasama Dubaite Patiba Kechuranga. Seeing that the Mayavadis and others were fleeing, Mahaprabhu thought, I wanted everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of God, but some of them have escaped. Therefore I shall devise a trick to drown them also. In the words of Prabhupada, he said, Mahaprabhu is drowning everyone in a flood of love of Godhead, but these persons, like many of the Mayavadis and the Gyanis and proud students and many persons, they are not drowning, but they're floating. So Mahaprabhu devised a way to also drown them in the inundation of love of Godhead. Eta boli mane kechu koriya bichar sannyas ashrama prabhu koila angikar. Thus the Lord accepted the sannyas order of life after full consideration. Oh. There was no need for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to accept sannyas, for he is God himself and therefore has nothing to do with the material bodily conception of life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not identify himself as any of the 8 varnas and ashramas, namely Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastra, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. He identified himself as the Supreme Spirit. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or for that matter any pure devotee, never identifies with these social and spiritual divisions of life, for a devotee is always transcendental to these different gradations of society. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya decided to accept sannyas on the grounds that when he became a sannyasi, everyone would show him respect and in that way be favored. Although there was actually no need for him to accept sannyas, he did so for the benefit of those who might think him an ordinary human being. The main purpose of his accepting sannyas was to deliver the Mayavadi sannyasis. This will be evident later in this chapter. And also everyone, in his village, he was being considered by bodily designations that he's just an ordinary person. So Mahaprabhu thought, I came to give these persons love of Godhead and give them some sukriti, but if they will go against me, they will get an opposite result. So he's very concerned about their welfare. This kind of consideration should not extend to ordinary persons who might think, well, if I take sannyas, I'll get proper respect for my preaching. That is a very mundane consideration. With Mahaprabhu, they would get sukriti just by respecting him, by respecting an ordinary person who, although he may take the exalted title of Swami or Goswami, you know, if he doesn't have actually the humility, tolerance, offering respect to others, then just that people will respect him won't be of any good. It may just increase his false pride. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained the term Mayavadi as follows. The Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of God, is transcendental to the material conception of life. Mayavadi is one who considers the body of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, to be made of Maya, and who also considers the bodhi of the Lord in the process of approaching him, devotional service, to be Maya. The Mayavadi considers all the paraphernalia of devotional service to be Maya. Maya refers to material existence, which is characterized by the reactions of fruitive activities. Mayavadis consider devotional service to be among such fruitive activities. According to them, when Bhagavats, devotees, are purified by philosophical speculation, they will come to the real point of liberation. Those who speculate in this way regarding devotional service are called kutarkikas, false logicians, and those who consider devotional service to be fruitive activities are called karmanishtas. Those who criticize devotional service are called nindakas, blasphemers. Similarly, non-devotees who consider devotional activities to be material are called pashandis, and scholars with a similar viewpoint are called adama paduyas. The kutarkis, nindakas, pashandis, and adama paduyas all avoided the benefit of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement of developing love of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt compassion for them, and it is for this reason that he decided to accept the sannyas order. For by seeing him as a sannyasi, they would offer him respects. The sannyas order is still respected in India. Indeed, the very dress of a sannyasi still commands respect from the Indian public. Therefore, Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas to facilitate preaching his devotional cult, although otherwise he had no need to accept the fourth order of life. So still, yes, there is still some respect in India for a sannyasi, but there are also many persons who take the dress of a sannyasi, and their activities are very mundane and sometimes even fearful activities that startle the public. So, Mahaprabhu could take sannyas, and therefore it would assist him in his preaching. But today we should understand that a sannyasi is meant for preaching and developing the qualities that Mahaprabhu showed in terms of what is pure devotion. Chabishvatsara Chila Grihastra Ashrame Pancha-vimshati Varshe Koila Jatidarme. Mahaprabhu remained in householder life for 24 years, and on the verge of his 24th year, he accepted the sannyas order. Sannyas Koriya Prabhu Koila Akarsha Jatika Palana Chila Tarki Adigan. Sannyas Koriya Prabhu Koila Karshan Jatika Palaya Chila Tarki Kadigan. After accepting the sannyas order, Mahaprabhu attracted the attention of those who had evaded him, beginning with the logicians. Paduya Pashandi Karmi Nindakari Jat Tara Ashi Prabhupai Hoy Avanat. Thus the students, infidels, fruitive workers, and critics all came to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Aparad Kamaila Dubila Prima Jale Keba Edaibe Prabhu Prima Mahajale. Mahaprabhu excused them all, and they merged into the ocean of devotional service. For no one can escape the unique loving network of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll continue tomorrow from this point. Now, one thing is very noteworthy. We're hearing about all the different tattvas and explaining the Mangala Charan. And it is not until the 13th chapter of the Adi-lila that begins with the appearance of Mahaprabhu, where normally his lila and his activities are discussed. Previously, we just heard the discussion, as I've mentioned many times, the terms, who are the actual personalities involved in Mahaprabhu's lila, and who is Mahaprabhu himself. So we heard, philosophical and historical backgrounds, everything. But here in the 7th chapter, we're actually doing Mahaprabhu's lila. He's explaining why he's taking sannyas, he's delivering the Mayavadis and everything like that. And yet we haven't really begun with the lila. So this chapter is very important, the activities of the Pancha-tattva. And it was actually this first, beginning with the 7th chapter of the Adi-lila, that when Prabhupada started with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, by his arrangement, or just the arrangement of the devotees who were printing, but that was the first volume of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that was released, was beginning with the 7th chapter. So it was actually, at that time, the 2nd volume released, and later the 1st volume was released. But we can see that 7th chapter is very important, because it's showing Mahaprabhu and all his associates engaged in their principal activity of wanting to, flood this world with love of Godhead, and the activities in doing so. So, okay, tomorrow I'll continue with this reading and discussion. Hare Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama
Hare Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya
Jai Sapadikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jyoki Jai. Jayam Vishnipan Panamasa Paravajaka Charyashta Dara Sada Shishima. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnipan Panamasa Paravajaka Charyashta Dara Sada Shishima. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswat Gosai Thakur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnipan Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnipan Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnipan Vaishnava Sarvavam Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Marga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsi Ghosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Nartam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Vishwavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kalabhi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ki Jai. Gangadevi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Jai Sripad Bhakti Chandan Parvat Maharaj Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.